Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel and welcome back to this video. In this video, we wanted to continue our strategic analysis on the luxury industry's transformation. Today, we wanted to share with you the luxury consumer revolt and when exclusivity becomes exclusion. Throughout our exploration of the luxury industry's transformation, we've examined strategic crossroads between the conglomerate complexity and focused exclusivity, celebrated the success of disciplined players like Hermes and Bruno Cucinelli, and witnessed the American brands capturing market share from struggling European houses. Now, we turn to the most critical perspective of all, the luxury consumer's voice. What emerges is a story of widespread disillusionment that explains why strategic approaches are succeeding or failing, and it also reveals the true cost of luxury's recent missteps. Let's start with the great luxury exodus, a market in reverse. The numbers are telling a sobering story of the consumer rejection. 50 million luxury consumers exited the market between 2022 and 2024. European luxury prices rose approximately 52% since 2019. Brand markups often reach 8 to 12 times the production cost, and online engagement has plummeted to 40% of the 2022 levels. This is not just economic cyclicity, it's consumer rebellion against an industry that has lost touch with its foundational promise. This brings us to the aspirational abandonment. The first wave of departures came from aspirational shoppers who found themselves priced out of the dreams they once considered achievable. These were the customers who saved for special purchases, who viewed luxury as attainable goals rather than casual acquisitions. And then there is the democratization trap, and we have discussed this throughout our series. Brands try to expand their consumer base while simultaneously pricing the same base out of the market. Which brings us to the psychology of luxury rejection, when exclusivity becomes hostility. Former luxury devotees describe the shopping experiences that transform from enjoyable rituals to bureaucratic obstacles, the appointment requirements for basic tryouts, the security theater at the flagship stores, the arbitrary pricing that feels disconnected from the value, and the staff attitudes that suggest consumers should feel grateful for the privilege to purchase from the brand. So, what we have observed is that the exclusivity principle that made luxury desirable at a point of time has led to the exclusion practices that is now making it repellent. And this brings us to the greedflation backlash. Now, industry insiders do acknowledge that beyond the macro challenges, luxury faces self inflicted wounds from aggressive pricing strategies. Now, these pricing strategies, which consumers have perceived as pure greed rather than value enhancement. This validates our analysis of why the focused luxury players like Hermes and Bruno Cucinelli have succeeded. They have maintained their authentic value narratives while others have pursued extractive pricing models. Let's also discuss the digital disruption of exclusivity, the social media double edged impact. The internet fundamentally altered luxury scarcity narrative. There is a cultural oversupply of luxury images online. There is a democratization of access to luxury aesthetics without ownership. There is a viral questioning of product value and the manufacturing practices. And then there is a rise of counterfeit culture among priced out consumers. All this has led to visual saturation that has made physical scarcity meaningless when everyone can access luxury aesthetics digitally. And this brings us to the authenticity crisis. Social media has exposed gaps between the luxury narratives and the reality. Manufacturing practices that contradict the craftsmanship stories, supply chain issues that undermine quality claims, price increases that feel arbitrary rather than value driven. All this explains as to why the authentic luxury players with genuine craftsmanship stories like Bruno Cucinelli's supply chain ethics continue thriving while narrative dependent brands are struggling. Let's now turn our attention to the alternative status symbols which are emerging, the beyond material luxury. Consumer behavior is revealing fundamental shifts in the status signaling. We are seeing experiential wealth, which is connected to travel, education, meaningful experiences. We are also seeing the time luxury, which is about privacy, about leisure, and about work life balance. Then there is the behavioral status, which is offline presence and mindful consumption. And finally, we are also observing investment priorities, which is investment into children's education, investment into financial security, investment into property. The material luxury is no longer monopolizing the status expression, creating competitive pressures from entirely different categories. So we are seeing a new luxury hierarchy that is emerging. Consumers are now distinguishing between authentic luxury, which is genuine craftsmanship, heritage, sustainable practices, performative luxury, which is logo driven, social media optimized, and artificially scarce, and accessible premium, which is quality without the pretension and fair value proposition. All this explains the success patterns that we are observing. Success patterns of authentic luxury like Hermes and Bruno Cucinelli, success patterns of accessible premium like the American brands that we talked about, Ralph Lauren, Coach, are thriving while the performative luxury brands are struggling. Let's talk about the strategic validation through the consumer lens. Why focused luxury is succeeding. Consumer sentiment is validating our analysis of successful focus strategies. Clear value proposition that justifies your pricing, consistent experience that matches the brand promise, authentic scarcity based on genuine production constraints, and respectful consumer treatment that honors the relationship. Why the confused middle is failing. Consumer rejection explains struggling brand challenges, pricing without corresponding value enhancement, exclusive attitude without exclusive products, brand narratives that don't really match the consumer experiences or the consumer preferences, complex portfolios that confuse the brand identity. This is where we have seen the American brands gain ground. We are seeing the consumer behavior that is supporting the American luxury success, the value conscious positioning that resonates with price aware customers, the accessible luxury experience without the pretentious barriers, the consistent brand promise across all price points, and finally, youth focused strategies that align with emerging consumer values. This brings us to the industry response, the right and the wrong moves. Let's first talk about the misguided approaches. We have seen some brands double down on failed strategies, wherein you have entry level products that feel tokenistic. The creative directive shuffles without addressing fundamental positioning issues, and the business as usual pricing despite clear consumer resistance. But there are promising directions that we wanted to share with you, wherein we are seeing brands recognize the need for fundamental change. There are price corrections that are happening in categories wherein increases went too far. There is experience improvements that restore the shopping pleasure. There is authenticity investment in genuine quality and craftsmanship. And finally, we are also seeing a consumer respect through transparent value propositions. Now let's turn our attention to consumer alternatives and the market fragmentation that has occurred. Where has the spending migrated? Disillusioned luxury consumers didn't stop spending, they just redirected their priorities. Vintage luxury, wherein authentic pieces are available at reasonable prices. Independent brands which offer fresh aesthetics without corporate baggage. Experience economy, which includes travel, wellness, and education investments. Finally, there is the investment mentality that we have talked about, saving and building wealth rather than displaying it. But we are also observing a counterfeit comfort zone, wherein many consumers are now embracing the dupe culture without shame. We are observing this because of high quality replicas that satisfy aesthetic desires, the inspired by pieces that capture the luxury looks affordably, the social acceptance of non authentic luxury aesthetics, and finally, the appearance over provenance in status signaling. This represents a fundamental disruption of luxury's traditional value proposition. So, given all this, what are the implications for the luxury's future? What we are seeing is that the road back requires humility. Rebuilding consumer trust is going to be demanding acknowledgement that consumer relationships were damaged, value restoration through genuine product and experience improvements, the price justification through transparent quality and craftsmanship, and cultural sensitivity to new consumer values and priorities. There are strategic choices that are crystallizing in terms of consumer sentiment, which is clarifying the strategic options. The ultra luxury focus, which serves genuinely wealthy consumers who value authentic exclusivity. Accessible premium, which provides quality and style without pretension or artificial barriers. And authentic craft, which is built on genuine heritage, quality, and sustainable practices. And then we have also seen the confused middle, which is still trying to be exclusive while accessible, premium while affordable, and it is not satisfying any consumer segment as of now. So, when we talk about the new luxury landscape, we are seeing a consumer driven segmentation. The market is reshaping around the consumer psychology rather than brand legacy. There is authentic luxury seekers, there are value conscious premium buyers, there are experience prioritizers, and then there are the conscious consumers. We are also seeing success metrics which are evolving. The consumer behavior is suggesting new luxury KPIs. Consumer loyalty depth over consumer base breadth. the value perception over price maximization, experience quality over transactional volume, and finally, brand authenticity over marketing reach. In closing, we can say that the luxury consumer revolt validates every strategic analysis that we have conducted in this series. From the focused authenticity of Hermes and Bruno Cucinelli, which is succeeding because it respects consumer intelligence, to accessible quality of the American brands, which is winning because it offers genuine value. Two, the confused positioning of the struggling European houses, which is failing because it satisfies neither authentic luxury nor accessible premium needs. When we are talking about the consumer sentiment, it has become the ultimate strategic arbiter. The brands that rebuild trust through genuine value, authentic experience, and respectful relationships are going to be the ones that thrive. Those that continue prioritizing extraction over creation, exclusion over exclusivity, and margins over meaningful connections will continue losing both consumers as well as relevance. The luxury industry's next chapter is going to be written by the brands that remember luxury exists to serve consumers and not exploit them. In an era of infinite alternatives, consumer choice has become the most powerful force reshaping this once impenetrable industry. The consumer is not just right, the consumer is in charge. Luxury brands that embrace this reality will survive and thrive. Those that resist will continue watching their former consumers walk away, wallets closed with their dignity intact. That's all that we wanted to share with you in this video. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Do stay tuned in for the next episode in the series.